Well, good morning. Welcome to the first devotions of the month of July, and as perhaps you've already guessed, the finance and IT departments will be doing this particular devotional series for this month. And when Raquel and I talked about this, we came up with the idea that wouldn't it be nice for us to share and offer our thoughts and our experiences over the last several months. After all, 2020 has already been a year to forget in many ways. Yet it will be a year that lives down in history. And we've lived through this level of history, primarily because of the coronavirus, which has affected the entire world. It has been tragic on so many levels, not least the absolute terrible loss of life, the masses of people that have succumbed to this awful virus. And still, we see the numbers rising. Still, we see no end to all of this. Yet, in the midst of that, there has been one significant upside, and that is the unity or the togetherness that we have experienced, one with another, but also with our friends around the world. And that, I think, was a tremendous upside. Certainly as Christians, we saw people looking towards Christianity as a way of making sense of all of these things. There really were some wonderful things going on. But then, in an instant, rather like a tinderbox, everything was destroyed overnight. We saw the images of the death of George Floyd on our television, and we were outraged at what we saw. There was a terrible injustice that went on with regards to this man, and of course ignited again the fury over treatment of African Americans. And the Black Lives Matter movement hit the streets, and boy did they ever. We saw demonstrations like I've never seen in my life. Yes, there was looting, yes, there were inappropriate things that occurred, but ultimately I think for the most part the demonstrations were appropriate and peaceful. But then I saw the divide again, the great division where people took a side. They took a side based on gender, they took a side based on race, they took a side based on whether they supported the police, or it's almost like you had to support either the police or African American community. You saw this divide politically. I mean, as I said earlier, it's like a tinderbox. It just all fell apart overnight, just like that. And again, we are sitting here as a terribly divided nation. And it's so sad and it's so tragic on many levels because we were getting somewhere just for a little while. I want to offer to you, if I might, a modern take on one of the great parables of Jesus, to illustrate my feeling towards this and my role and your role as a Christian. So bear with me, if you will. A man was walking through town. He went from one end of the town, perhaps the more affluent end, towards the hood. And when he got to that poverty-stricken area, he was attacked by some policemen for no apparent reason. He didn't appear to do anything particularly wrong. Yet they held him down, and indeed they killed him. And then they left him. And there he lay dead on the side of the road, and along comes a TV reporter. This is tragic, the TV reporter thought to himself as he looked down at the body of this man. This is so unjust, this is so wrong. And then as he lifted his head to just keep walking, he thought, my goodness, I can use this. Perhaps this will further my career. Perhaps this will get me greater viewing figures. Next, along came a politician. He looked down at the ground beneath him. He saw this man lying there and said to himself, this is terrible, this is outrageous, this is so unjust. And then he raised his head and walked on thinking, I can use this. Politically, this could benefit me greatly. I will speak of how tragic this is, and I believe that I can benefit. The third man that came by was an upper middle class, middle-aged man. He looked down at the body beneath him, made sure the proper authorities were called, and then took a few moments to discover something about this man and about his family, those who were most affected by all of this. And he gathered the man's family, and he brought them to the local church. He knocked on the door and said to the people inside, I bring you this family. They're damaged, they're broken, they're hurt. I believe that's what God created you for, is for people who are damaged and hurt Indeed, said the man as he opened the door wider and pointed to the windows around the church, look outside. There are so many more like this who are hurting, damaged, broken people. I say to you, go to them, care for them, nurture them. Friends, let's not mistake our role in this story. There are people out there, many, who will cry and call this unjust and divide as a result. We, I believe, are to call this unjust, but to unite, to care for the people. There are souls at risk because of all of this, and it's to those that we have been called. Don't mistake your place. Don't mistake your role. Make sure we're part of the solution, not part of the problem. Unjustness is a reality of this broken world, but we're here because Christ sent us here to help repair what we can. Bless you, friends, and happy Tuesday to you.